Do all of your friends have cabins? Are you tired of hearing about how much fun they're having at the cabin? We're going to the cabin this weekend. We can work from anywhere, so we're going to spend the next month at the cabin. We had such a great time at the cabin last weekend. And on, right? Well, if you've decided that this is the year you're going to take the plunge and get a cabin of your very own, you're in the right place. Welcome to Cabin Connections in northwestern Wisconsin, where we have hundreds of lakes and rivers, thousands of acres of wooded and recreation land, and are just a couple of hours from the Twin Cities. This is Cabin Land. I'm Wanda Bolden, and I've been helping people buy and sell real estate in northwestern Wisconsin for over 25 years. This channel is all about helping people get connected and stay connected to our beautiful lakes and recreation area. If you're new to this channel, welcome. And if you're a returning subscriber, thank you so much for coming back to hear more. Today we're going to talk about finding the right cabin. But before we get started, I want to ask you if you've watched my first video about finding the right location. If you haven't, I'll put a link to that in the description box so that you can watch that, because I think that would be helpful. In this video, we're going to talk about finding the right structure, your future cabin. What is a cabin? Well, for purposes of this video, we're going to use the word cabin as it applies to your vision and your budget. A cabin can be anything from a 2-bedroom, 1-bath structure on a crawl space and no heat to a 4,000 square foot structure with 4 bedrooms and 3 baths and 2 fireplaces. So whatever your vision is of a cabin, that's what we're going to be talking about today. And I'm going to give you 5 things to think about that will help you in the process of zoning in on what's the perfect cabin for you. And then stick around until the end. I'll have a piece of bonus advice for you as well. Question number 1. Let's start with the size. How big does your cabin need to be? Well, ask yourself who's going to be using it. Is it just you and your spouse and a partner, or do you have an entourage of family and friends who are salivating to help you enjoy your new asset? Keep in mind that most of your time at the cabin is spent outdoors, so don't make yourself too crazy about the whole bedroom situation. Bedrooms in cabins can be smaller, and many of them don't even have closets, and that's okay. Some of my past clients have gotten creative with how to sleep people at their cabin, and they've done that in the form of a bunkhouse. A bunkhouse can be a detached structure, or it can be something that's associated with a garage space, whether it be an upper part of a garage or a corner. So rest assured, there are ways to rack them and stack them at the cabin that you might not have thought about. But bear in mind, there are zoning rules that relate to bunkhouses, and I'll have a video in the future about that. But a bunkhouse is a great solution to sleeping more people at your cabin. The second thing to consider is the overall aesthetic of your cabin. As they say, looks matter. There isn't a right or wrong answer here either. This relates to how do you want to feel at the cabin. Some people want the classic log chalet style cabin with plenty of wood interiors, maybe some vaulted ceilings and wood beams and a fieldstone fireplace. I'll give you an example of that here. But I also meet people who want bright light interiors with all drywall finishings and no wood. And here's an example of that. Do you envision something like that, or are you thinking about more of a traditional looking cabin? These are good things to kick around before you start looking. Number 3, are you a feature creature? Let's talk about some of the features that might be on your wish list. One category of features are things that help you enjoy or interact with the out of doors, like a deck or a screen porch or a fire pit. These are all wonderful things and common things that we see with cabins in our area. If you find a property though that doesn't have these elements, it's quite possible you could add that in the future. Look at what your setbacks are to the lot lines, where are the neighbors. There might be some rules that would preclude you from doing that, but it's highly possible that you could add features like these if the property you find doesn't have them. Another feature that is very important to a lot of buyers, they say, it isn't a cabin without this, is a fireplace or a wood stove. And that can come in the form of a wood burning device or a gas burning device. So that might be something you put on your wish list, and it also could be something you could add. One category of features that might seem commonsensical to you and might be on your list as important might not be easy to find in cabin land, and that involves things like a master suite. Not all cabins have master suites, not even the most grandiose structures. Or things like a basement. You might find that the cabins in your price category only have a crawl space or a slab. And the same goes with central air. You might not find central air in every structure that you're looking at. So you might move those items to the soft category on must-haves. One feature that comes up with buyers often that might seem a little bit unusual to you bears a little bit of discussion, and that's the heat source. Cabins can have no heat. They can have electric baseboard heat. You can find a cabin with a gas forced air furnace, or you might have hot water baseboard heat. You might want to decide if any of those are important to you and put them on your wish list. And lastly, a feature that you might have on your wish list is one-level living. And that may be for safety for you right now, or you might be thinking about the future as you age and use your cabin, or maybe you have someone important in your life who requires one-level living or just a few steps. If that's the case, make sure you put that on your wish list. Features are fun. Make your list of all the goodies that you're hoping to find at your cabin, but go soft on yourself. You may not find a property that has everything on your wish list, and that's okay. Things can be added over time. Keep your eye on the prize and don't get bogged down with details that may not be imperative. Question number 4, to fix or not to fix? That is the question. What kind of condition are you willing to tolerate at your cabin? Are you someone who has the skills to do some cabin improvements, or are you willing to pay someone to do that for you? If that's the case, you might have greater flexibility than some others who are looking for cabins. Many times cabins are being sold because they aren't being used as much as they used to, and perhaps that lack of use has gone on for years. Well, that can lead to deferred maintenance. So you'll want to prepare yourself to perhaps witness that as you're looking at structures. Question number 5. What is the good life worth to you? In other words, what are you willing to pay? Now, we talked a little bit about that in the first video in this series, the B word, your budget. Hopefully you have your arms around what you're willing to pay. But you also need to think about how are you going to pay. A lot of buyers these days are paying cash for their cabin, and that could come in the form of true cash, but it might be funds that they've drawn from a home equity loan. Some buyers choose to get a loan to pay for their property. If that's what your plan is, make sure that you lay the groundwork in advance so that when the right cabin comes along, you are ready. I will have some tips for choosing a lender in the future, so keep an eye out for that video coming up. The bonus advice I have for you is to allow yourself to be flexible with your vision and your wish list. Finding a great cabin to enjoy doesn't have to be a one and done proposition. Life changes, or you may find another property that you like better, and that's okay. Allow yourself to do that. You wouldn't be the first one to do it, and you wouldn't be the last. The record in our office for a buyer jumping to a different property is 4 properties. And Glenn, if you're watching this, I'm talking to you. Hopefully this has given you a few things to consider and has gotten you inspired to get moving on finding your cabin. I also have more videos coming up in this series on how to find the right cabin, so be sure to watch out for those. I'll have more golden nuggets to share. Thanks for watching, and be sure to hit the subscribe button if you like content like this. If you want to find me on Facebook or Instagram or learn more on my blog, I'll put links below for those as well. Let's stay connected. I'll see you next time.